Hello, it's Joe Glines, and today I'm talking with Nicolás Castillo. Nicholas, a couple years ago, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you reached out to me, and we were doing some web scraping, if I remember at the time, and we had just talked through some stuff, and I'm trying to get more people to talk and tell us how they use AutoHotkey, and so he's agreed to come on here. Nicholas, why don't you give us a little bit of background on your education?
Okay, yes. So thank you for your invitation, Joe. Yeah, so I'm currently 29 years old. I'm in IT. I'm a computer science engineer. So yeah, I remember reaching out to you like 2 years ago or so. I was trying to, I guess, do some web scraping stuff. And I stumbled upon one of your posts. So I was like having trouble with the script I was trying to get to work. And then I reached out to you. So yes, I pretty much picked AutoHotkey like 2 years ago. And I've been learning on my own and going through the forums and the IRC channel and pretty much just playing around and testing stuff.
And I think you also said you do stuff in real estate, right?
Yes, yes. Well, I have a 9 to 5 where I use my AutoHotkey scripts. I actually have a gaming keyboard because those come in with a bunch of macro keys that you can like set up as you wish. So I have, I think it's a Steel Series keyboard that I have set up like if you press the M1 key, like a macro key, it runs some AutoHotkey script or whatever. But yeah, I have that set up as well. And on the side, I'm working on real estate as well. My wife's an architect, so she's, I guess, she's a realtor as well. And there's a lot of manual work in real estate.
Yeah, there is.
You have a lot of data, and you have to constantly being like
repetitive.
Update. Yeah, you have to update your listings every once, I guess.
And the clients too, right? The clients all you're giving them all. It's granted it's different homes, different places, but it's the same. You know, here's this house.
It's the same process where I mean, you start doing it, and I guess once you've done it a few times, you like start to think like, well, I'm just sitting here pressing the same buttons over and over again, you know, and this thing in front of me, I bet it's going to work best for this than a human, you know. And I mean, you can have another PC or whatever running a script. If it takes that long for you, well, you're doing something else, you know, you don't really need to be there.
Yeah, which is that's one of the things, especially when most people, I think, first start using AutoHotkey, and I'm not knocking it all. They'll use it to send literal keystrokes, right, and get the focus of an application and send keystrokes. And honestly, sometimes that's what I do too, right? Depends on the program. Yeah. But there are some things you can actually have running in the background, and they don't have to take the focus. Sure. And that way you can doesn't tie up your computer. And so that's one. Once you realize, like, hey, you know what? Like the web scraping side of things, I can programmatically open a browser, do stuff, get things from it, or send things to it without actually taking the focus away from, you know, what I'm doing. And
yeah, like at first, I remember when I was just getting started on web scraping, I would like make some scripts to like go and click on this coordinates.
Yeah.
And sleep, and then just like press enter and whatever. You know? So I would like hit run, and then just like stay away from the PC and try not to touch anything.
Yeah.
Because it would mess up my timing and whatever. Yeah. But once I moved to pretty much web scraping with COM and AI, you pretty much, as you say, you can launch a web IE, a window, and you can keep working on your stuff. Well, that's happening on the background.
Right.
So that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. By the way, incidentally, when you said that, it made me think of another one. Because I think I learned about it after you and I spoke. But have you seen the function find text?
Fine text? No, I think I haven't. No.
So it's an interesting one because even though it says find text, it really actually works off of images. And it's much more robust to me, at least, in compared to what's the built-into AutoHotkey. There's a find image find, or what, I forget what it is.
Yeah.
But you got to store the file on your computer, and then the ratio and all the stuff, and it often breaks, right? But find text does a much better job, but it stores it in like an algorithm string, so you don't actually save the file, the picture, to your computer.
Oh, okay.
It saves this encoding of it, and I can take it. It has a tool built into it where I can go and grab like an image, and it can be text or it can be an icon or it can be whatever, right? You grab the area, and then you say, oh, move the mouse to where you search for this if you find it, and then I built a function to wrap with it. If I find it, go and click to the right a little and send this text. And every once in a while when I'm doing web scraping where they have the event triggers where you gotta, it's a hard time triggering an event to have it like it actually was a click. I'll switch over to that because I can do it in a second. I'll give you the link later on. But it was like wow, it's a, I want to say stupid, but it's not. I mean, it's pretty reliable. So I'm like, you know what? It works and I can do it quickly. So I'm not going to keep fighting trying to figure out how to programmatically solve it when I can do something like that and have it just do it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, most web scraping, at least that I have encountered, is pretty straightforward, and you pretty much reference whatever HT element you need the value from, or to set it to something, and then every once in a while you encounter those JavaScript, I guess, events that you need to simulate or replicate for the script to do something in. Yeah. That's when it gets tricky.
Yeah, and even though I have a decent post on that of I built my I have my little web scraping syntax writer for AutoHotkey, and then I added into that one that will create the event and trigger it, and it works somewhat reliably. But honestly, in the last year I haven't done nearly the amount of web scraping that I used to do, just because I don't work corporate anymore. But
I remember, is that the script you're referring to, the one that you had to like press Control and then right click or something?
That sounds.
When I got started, I downloaded one of your scripts, and then you had like it pretty much was like a template where you can.
That's right.
Like if you wanted to set or get a value, and then you select the Control, and it would like fill in the code for you.
That's right. You just go tweak it. But for me, it's funny because I get so used to using hot strings that I honestly will forget the code because I'm like, I never write it because I don't write it.
Call it in, and it's there.
And that way I don't have to go find my template, right? It's just built in right there.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So, and it's interesting. You said you have a background, or you actually, I don't recall. Did you say you're done with school and that your background's in IT, or that you're still studying?
No. I'm in IT. I've been working for a company for around 5 years now. And I guess my main activity there is invoicing. These guys, they have a very manual process. So I guess they have SAP, and then they have a bunch of information there, but you cannot actually get the invoices from SAP. So you have to extract a DBF file from SAP, and then you import that file. Well, you actually make some transformations to it, and then you import that to another invoicing software. So, and then you have to manually go like, okay, we're at invoice, I don't know, 4,000, whatever. You go there, and then you manually like go to, okay, click here, and you type in some value, and you go like stamp, then that's going to give you a PDF, an XML file, and then you have to rename it, and then you go, you move on to the next invoice, and that's a lot of manual work. And that I guess once you've done it for 2 weeks, you start like knowing all the tricky things that you may encounter, so you can start, writing up some basic script and work from there.
Well, so I'm curious. Do other people at your company use AutoHotkey or anything else?
Not really. if they use it, it's because I wrote something for them, and then I just like compiled that into an exe file, and I just go with the, I don't know, accounts receivable people, and I go like, okay, when you get this, instead of doing all your manual process, you're just going to double click here and like enter, I don't know, maybe whatever value, instead of entering 20 values and looking in some Excel spreadsheet for that file or number or whatever they need to do, the script will do that for them. So I guess I'm the only person writing AutoHotkey scripts there. I'm not the only one using it though.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm curious. So, well, let's stick with the actual users right now. Has anyone ever shown any interest in actually learning how to code, or they don't care?
Not really. It's all black magic to them, I guess.
Yeah. That's a great description. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess even if I were to sit down with them, they don't feel the urge or the need to learn how to, like, okay, I don't need to wait for Nico to, the next time around, I wouldn't need to wait for myself, for Nico to program this for me. Maybe I could just do it on my own or whatever, but they don't have that urge. I mean, I guess they just want to get the job done and leave for the day.
I think the other thing, and I think this is one of the things that I struggle with, or not struggle, but I have a hard time noticing, because for me it's always pretty easy to see, but I think a lot of people will see what you did, and like you said, you showed how you can automate this thing, right? Mm-hmm. And they go, oh, that's really neat, I'll use that. But they don't realize, like, they have 8 other things that are like that, right? That are very similar. And because they're like, well, that's different, that's that, right? And you're like, yeah, but it's not hard to adapt the overall approach and realize, like, just logging into a website or what, especially if they're in any sort of customer service thing where you're corresponding with people about something, and you probably have a standard thing you write every time, and like just having either a hot string or a hotkey to dump that text in, right?
Definitely. And those guys, at least from what I've encountered, those guys in account receivable, they have to manually log into websites, I guess, from their suppliers to upload XML files and PDF files. So yeah, it's a hassle for them. And I guess when they when they get hired, the person that was there before them pretty much sits down with them and goes like, okay, you're gonna have to click here, and then you press browse and select, upload. They go like, oh, okay, and they just keep doing it like that forever.
Well, and that actually is one of my other questions, which astounds me, is, why do you think the people hiring the people, like, why don't more people look for like our skill set and say, I'm going to hire someone actually onto my team that at least has a little inkling or a little desire and a little, even if you don't have training, but you have that desire to learn, right, how to automate.
Yeah. I don't know, I guess sometimes it's complicated dealing with people, and I guess
fair enough.
They go like, okay, as long as you can press the right buttons at the right time and you don't cause too much trouble, you can keep the job. Yes, I get your point though. Like, if you were to have somebody that actually cares, or even you don't have to work more hours. I mean, if you have that knack for like, okay, if I come here and sit like from Monday through Friday, like for the past 6 years now or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I might as well put in some work to learn, some basic scripting or whatever. And yeah, it's definitely a plus, at least for me.
I met with this guy. He's a local guy, and it was funny because he was taught. He's like, yo, I've automated a lot of stuff at work, and my bosses, they like it, but they just, give me more to do. But he hasn't tried to learn other stuff. And I'm like, well, why don't you, learn it on your own time and then whatever. And he's like, that was a totally like, you know, not an option,
Acceptable,
not something
yeah.
he ever considered, right? I think I wonder if it's a millennial thing of like, you know, I need to get paid for doing this stuff. Whereas like for me, I'm ensuring my job security
Yeah,
besides
well,
like the
if you,
boredom type
mm,
factor, right?
yeah, I mean, yeah, I eventually get tired of it, like
Yeah.
doing that over and over again. And even
Yeah.
like, I guess they have it around the other way around, because I guess if you want to get paid more, you need to make yourself more valuable to the company and your employer. Like, uh, I guess I can like look back and tell that I'm more valuable to them now, that I know how to script and how to like I know my way around on a hotkey or
Mhm.
whatever. Because like let's say like for example about a month ago we had to cancel around like 2,000 invoices, and that's a very manual process because you have to log in, at least here in Mexico. You have to I guess if you don't have any third-party software to do the job for you, you like the free option, like the option the government gives you, it's to manually log in to their website and like you enter the unique ID for the invoice you want to cancel.
Yeah.
Then you hit like OK, the page loads, and then it asks you for your certificate and your key, and then you select those, and then I think you go like cancel, you wait a few seconds for the invoice to be canceled, and then it gives you like something went wrong, or okay, your invoice has just been canceled.
Yeah. And you can do
And
your
then,
next one.
yeah, and then you have, you're not even taking back to the main page, you're giving a like a okay button, and then you have to press it, and it goes back to, okay, enter the ID of the yeah, so
Yeah.
I was given a task of canceling all those invoices manually, and I think I had like a week or 2 weeks tops to make that happen. And it's not a hard. I mean, I think everyone can do that. Like it's basically just clicking and pressing, and it's not hard. So I called a few companies and I explained them what I wanted to do, so they could give me a quote. Like
Yeah.
okay, and obviously they're happy to do so. I don't know. They I guess the cheapest one was like $10,000, I guess, around that. But
Wow.
it didn't like make much sense
Right.
to go with it. I mean, firstly because I could I could just script that and like save us that amount, and then this is going to be or was only a one-time thing. It's
Mhm.
not that like they were going to be interested in actually buying software that they're going to be using it just once.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that, and it went well. I mean, I guess I went and canceled like 200 invoices, and then for some reason it failed or whatever. Like on the next invoice it failed, and then I just paused my script, went into the code, made some minor changes, and
Yeah.
reloaded the script, and enough it went. And I gotta confess, I did it on the lazy way because I didn't use COM integration or whatever. And then I pretty much just set up a PC just for running that script.
Yeah.
And I had that on my second monitor, and
Yeah.
it ran all day long. I guess it took it like 12 hours or 14 hours to cancel all those invoices.
Yeah.
So it's nice. I mean,
Cool.
yeah.
Do you have any other examples of other things you've done like that? And actually, let's take so that was a web interface. Is that right? That's what you said?
Yes, correct. That was a web interface. I was using Chrome because it gave me the best results for that specific website. I in my real estate, I guess venture, whatever. I was using Internet Explorer on my first version, but then the website I work with, I guess it's no longer compatible with IE.
Yeah.
So I'm working. So I was like, oh no, I had to, I guess, rewrite my script to work with Chrome, and it's working nice as well.
Are you using the library? I think it's Geek Dude made.
No, I haven't. I have played around with it. And
Okay.
it looks really nice. Like, yeah, I was just going through the forums, and I guess it's going to be. I mean, when you're doing web scraping, I guess you're at the mercy of the website because you may have a working script, and then I don't know, you use that for whatever months, and then I don't know, maybe the website will be updated for some reason,
right.
and it'll maybe move things around or break some things. So I guess when that happens for me, I'm going to be using that library. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not nearly as robust as what you can do with IE, but again, I agree. I mean, I use IE because in AutoHotkey it's so easy to do it. It's not because I like IE, right? It's just that I can automate it so well. But with Chrome, obviously, it's so much faster on average. Using Chrome.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, if I can scrape a website, or if I'm doing any web stuff, I rather use IE, which is something I guess I would never thought I would say.
Right. So
but,
what I tell people is, I hate IE too. However, when it comes to programming side, I can automate it in IE, and then I don't care what browser I'm using because I'm not actually doing it. You know,
sure. Yeah. I mean, unless the website I'm working on is no longer compatible with IE, then I'll
Well, I've run into, even on LinkedIn, I've done stuff with IE, and LinkedIn even on any browser for one point in time, which was terrible, and then now it'll crash IE. I don't know there's something weird, but yeah,
that's weird. But I mean, if you have enough time and enough curiosity, I guess you can get around stuff.
And I'm curious, how do you explain, like, actually, if you have a friend or someone who says there's someone interested in realizing, like you're using AutoHotkey, what would you explain like AutoHotkey even is in the first place? Like, how do you explain it to them?
Well, I guess I would tell them AutoHotkey. I guess I wouldn't get into like it's a programming language or whatever. I would tell them, okay, AutoHotkey is a way for you to tell the computer what you need it to do for you. Like, it's just a way to speak to the computer or to make it understand what you need to get done. So that's what I would tell them.
And have you tried to sit down with people and teach them anyone?
Not really. I mean, I haven't received any requests from people to.
That's so sad, but yeah.
Teach them. Yeah. I guess whenever I receive a request from people, is for a finished product, like they want a script done, or they go like, hey, I saw what you did for John, or whatever. I was thinking of could you sit down with me and take a look at this?
It's not I want to know how you did it. It's I want you to do this for me.
And then give me and I guess for some reason, I guess it's not only with AutoHotkey, but in general in IT, whenever you go like, okay, sure, I'll sit down with you. They expect you to give them lifetime support. So if you actually go ahead and write some script for them, and for some reason, I guess if it's web related or whatever, the website changes or updates or whatever, and some part of your script breaks down, they're gonna go look for you and go like, hey, your script's it's not working anymore. So can you fix it? How long will it take you to do so?
Yeah, and you're like, this is what bugs me is like, you're like, did you at least try to open it and look at it, right? Because it's like it's a text file, and honestly, when I first when I worked in internet marketing, I was automating stuff in SharePoint just on how the browser, in SharePoint would create the web page itself, and then I was trying to pre-populate some things, and so I Googled it and found using JavaScript, here's how you can parse things, and so I had no idea what I was doing, and yet I still managed to actually do what I wanted to do just from a little bit of Googling and a little bit of trying. And I'm like, it's, people, it's not hard, right? Just
yeah. I mean, it's not assembly language. It's not,
yeah,
you're not programming on a low level.
that's right. Yes.
You can get started fairly easily. I mean, you can go into the forums or watch your videos or whatever, and then you go from there, and then you get another message or whatever, and you Google it, and I don't know, if you have enough energy and are willing to, you can get around things.
Yeah. Do you have any? Well, let's say someone did come to you and say, I want to learn some automation. What would you recommend? What's the quickest, easiest thing to learn with AutoHotkey as far as starting to do something?
I guess I would. I mean, if you're barely getting started, I would show you how to click on stuff and like maybe hotkeys. Like, okay, let's define this as a hotkey, and let's, I don't know, whatever, just press it and have your PC click on here and here to make it open something, and maybe display a message box at the end or whatever. Something like, I guess, not that complicated, but I guess it would make people think like, whoa, I didn't know, my PC could do that on its own. Like I thought I had to manually click on the mouse.
Yeah.
Well, once you like, I guess, show them that, hopefully they go like, oh, well, maybe,
get some interest.
Maybe I would, maybe I can do that.
Yeah. I was going to say was everything you just said, except the thing I'd add to it is not only could my computer do what I just did, but I did it in 3 lines of text that I can actually read, and it was like, that's not hard. It's the syntax. Some of it, you get into a DLL call and stuff. Okay, I get it. That's more complicated, but man, a lot of the stuff with just an input box to pop up, type in something, and then have it, like, let's say, append to a Google search, right? Or do something, right? Like that alone, or like the one I use a lot, I have it where it's cap locks. I think it's S or A. I got to do it. But anyway, it pops up with the input box, I can type something, and then it uses Google to search both the AutoHotkey forum and Stack Overflow for what I typed in, right?
Okay.
I used to have it when I was working in the Internet Marketing Group, also search for SQL, and there was one or two other ones where I'm like, it goes and does it all for me, and I can just pick and choose real quickly, right? Instead of having to now log in here and do this, then log in here and do this. And I'm like,
makes sense. Yeah.
I'm looking for the same thing on all these sites, right? Make it really easy to just crank it out.
Yeah. I recently got into, I guess it's GUI scripting with AutoHotkey, and it's really nice because you can, I guess, make your script more flexible and like ask for values and whatever and whatnot.
Yes.
And it's been really nice for me.
That's good. Their GUIs are amazingly powerful. It's just you have to wrap your mind around the flow control is so different than a normal script, right?
Yeah.
That's what for me took some time of like going. You can be anywhere, right, and click something, and you got to take that into account, right? Does it trigger an event or whatever, something?
Right.
But I agree, and that's where. So do you? I don't remember. It's been a while. Have you seen any of my stuff around AutoHotkey Studio for the editor?
Yes, I have.
So Maestri, nice. He's the author of that, and then I both work with him and I pay him to do stuff for me. But he builds GUIs. Like literally, he will do stuff in 2 hours that would have taken me over a week, and even then it's better than what I would have come up with, right?
Yeah.
But he builds GUIs so fast with and then he'll build it where it saves the data from it, and he has a class, an XML class, where because he knows it frontwards and backwards, so he can automatically build a GUI, have you click things, and then hit a something, but it'll save it to an XML file, so the next time you launch the program, it remembers what you selected last.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
And I'm like, little stuff like that, I'm like, that would take me like forever to, write out, and he does it, in literally like minutes. And
you can save the state of your GUI with that,
Yeah, it's really
nice.
Yeah, and he'll even add, let's say you had a combo box, right, where you have a list view. Well, you type in, and you can see the options, but then if it's not there, you can type one and it'll add it to it.
Oh, okay.
So that way, next time, now it still remembers what you had, but you even add to the list, and that's what with using his
Okay.
XML class, because it'll automatically say, hey, what's in this list, and it gets it. And then if you're adding something new, it will realize it's something new and add it. Anyway, it makes it so easy to do stuff, easy for him. Like I watch it and I get everything he does, but it's the actual writing it from scratch for me is tough, because that uses his XML class relies on XPath for getting the data out and writing to it. And that was another, like, I started learning it and then I stopped where I haven't tried it lately. And then so every time, I pick it back up and I'm like, it's like regular expressions. If you don't use them often enough, you forget it. And then you're like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, you have to go back and try to remember it.
But yeah, I like including GUIs, a little bit of a GUI in the stuff I do, because we actually had a webinar on that. And one of the things that it makes it so much easier to, use your stuff. And it makes it a lot easier to give to other people to use. That way they're not typing in, things that may be right or wrong, right? You have a predefined list of things that you may or may not remember. And yeah, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, it's been nice. I mean, I guess it was 2 years ago when I got started with AutoHotkey. And then, as I mentioned, I've been learning, and I guess, learning along the way. And I don't really like sit down and learn a lot. Like I try to learn it 100%. Like I guess I learn as I go. And it's been really nice. And I don't really see myself like pushing a hotkey aside, and like I want to keep on learning. And I guess every day you can encounter something that could be done better or faster or improve it somehow, I guess. It reminds me of Tasker. Tasker is, I guess, I think it's called Tasker, the Android app. It's similar to it.
Really?
You pretty much set up profiles and you go like, okay, whenever I get home, turn on my Bluetooth and so on. So I guess that's like an Android alternative, I guess, I use for scripting things. And then I mean, it's been like a important I guess decision for me, or like if I want now and used Mac OS or Linux or whatever, I would use a hotkey. So I guess, it's a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, answer this for me. If you happen to go to somebody else's computer, right, do you feel like, oh my God, how do I do half the stuff I'm used to doing? Because that's what for me, when I'm on a different computer and I'm like, I don't even remember how to do some of the stuff. It takes me a while to
have everything set up as you like, and it saves so much time for you. So when you go to another person's computer, you go like, and I guess everything becomes second nature to you. Like you get so used to it that it becomes like muscle memory or something. And then you find yourself hitting your hotkeys and nothing's happening.
Hey, by the way, have you seen any of the stuff we did with Quick Access Pop-Up or QAP?
I don't think I have.
Let me share. I don't want to get too much in it because it's off topic, but it's really cool. Let me share my screen here.
Yeah, thank you.
And these were my questions, but I'm gonna start anyway. So I'm gonna hit my hotkey. Oh, and it's actually not. Oh, it is running. Okay, so this it can build GUIs, but it does 8 million things more. But one thing I love about it is this is a GUI built in Quick Access Pop-Up, and in it I have submenus and I have icons, right? And in it, like here is my syntax.
Okay.
Oh, it'll let me look at the AutoHotkey stuff. So like you said, here's like my syntax for doing loops, right? So it dumps it, but and now I'm gonna that was my own personal menu. I'm gonna go into settings here, and I'll show you. So this is the QAP menu, and if I come up here to syntax assist to AutoHotkey, here is like what was the file loop. Here's like the loop, and I'm gonna double click on it, and this was that. So I just paste it in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, and then I can actually right in here. Let me come back to it. Actually, I don't have I thought I had an icon for it, but I could select an icon,
Okay.
And that way in the menu, when I load it, I'm going to save and reload it. And now when I pull it up, we'll see that one loop,
Okay.
it's reloading still.
Okay.
I'm actually running the beta of it. So syntax assist, hotkey. So see here that icon? Right? That that's what I changed it to. But you can make menus and submenus, but you can just drag and drop and then you can assign a hotkey as well. It's a free program. It's available in 10 languages. And so if you go to I'll send it, I think it's quickaccesspopup.com. Ironically, I mean I do have a hot string for it, of course. But it's free, but it makes it so easy, and it actually interacts with your both your browser or your Explorer window, or even the command dialog, the open and close dialogues for remembering folders that you created, shortcuts to folders. But I use it more for the snippets, the code, because which you saw that, like, actually this is I had built all mine manually. And since I already built them, I haven't switched them over to QAP, right? But in here, under AutoHotkey, this is my web scraping syntax writer, which is what we were talking about. So I can click that, and now when I click this is what we were saying.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, but so while we're in here, so under trigger actions, then if there's no event listeners, this is the normal stuff. But if there's a mouse event, right, or a keyboard event, these you can put in, and it'll dump in the code. So here you build this will store the event, and I think this one initializes it, I guess. And then down here, this is where, of course, this will be commented out in AutoHotkey, but you'd put the path to your thing here, and this mouse over is pulling on this, and it'll with any luck trigger your event. But yeah, those event listeners, man, it took me a while. Jackie sat down with me at one point and walked me through some of it, and I'm like, yeah, I just don't have a background in the DOM at all. Besides, all this stuff is just really
sometimes it's tricky to get those triggered. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm going to check that out. Quick Access Pop-Up.
Yeah, it's a cool free tool. I mean, he takes donations, right? If you see the value in it. And it's got so many bells and whistles. Like I did a disservice giving you a 5-minute overview on it, right? Because it's an amazing tool. But I like it because I can easily create my GUI interface and have my syntax available for me. And shortcuts to folders, but mostly I use it for the syntax because this way I can store code that I use a lot, but not enough to have a hot string for, because then I forget it. But actually, you can, like, do I have, like, here? If I type LP2 period, see it right here? Then I don't have to pull up my menu, right? That's the reminder that that's a hot string for it, and it will pull up the syntax without me actually doing anything, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, it's
helpful. I mean, and you could like use it in 1,000 different ways, I guess. It depends on when you're like, if you are a programmer or developer or whatever, you can use it that way, or
right. It was kind of ironic because it's been around for quite a while, right? And then when Jean introduced me to it, I started using it, and then I tried to use it with the AutoHotkey code for that thing, and it broke. And I wrote him, and I'm like, hey, this is really surprising that actually I was using it for this and it broke. And he's like, the core users, they're not programmers, right? They have no idea it's written in AutoHotkey. They don't use it for writing code. They use it for more like, your accounting team might use it type of thing.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you're the first AutoHotkey actual programmer that I know that actually, like, even he didn't use it for the snippets, But he fixed that all, and then I showed him how many hot strings I have, and I talked him into incorporating hot strings as well. So now you can put a hotkey to launch it, or actually, because I had hotkeys as well for that, you could assign a hotkey to it as well besides the GUI. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'll play around with it. It's going to save me a lot of time, and as you said, I mean, most users are not developers. So I guess they can go and ask me like, hey, can you set up this way for me or that way for me.
By the way, it has a portable version. So if you're going to be using it, and you want to take it with you and go to people's computers, it'll all be on your thumb drive and it stays, static for you.
That's useful. Okay, thank you. Yep.
I'm curious. Back, you actually work in the IT department, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think you said you're the only person programming in AutoHotkey that you're aware of, at least. Right?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
I'm curious. Do you have any idea like why your colleagues don't use AutoHotkey, or is it that they don't think they have the need? Is it that are they on Windows computers?
I don't know. I guess it's just like when you, I guess you get tired of doing your manual work every day, and then like I guess you become so tired of it, then you don't want to spend that extra time in actually or invest that time in actually like coming up with a solution for it, even though it's going to save you a whole more time down the road. It's like most people don't want to spend that extra time. It's really gets started, I guess, and I mean it's worth it, but I guess you would have to actually show them like, because they see me, and sometimes, I mean, like with my invoicing process, which I do every day. I mean, I would be on my phone, like on WhatsApp or whatever, and people would pass me by and see my desktop like moving around, like the mouse and clicking stuff and stuff, and they would think either I wasn't working, I was just like wasting time on my phone, or like somebody was remoting into my desktop to work for me, or I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's funny. Some reactions you get with people.
Well, I think one of my favorite quotes is, I don't remember it exactly, but it's Bill Gates saying he tries to find the laziest people he can because they will find a way to automate whatever.
Yeah,
right?
that hits home. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's like what really surprises me is because I dealt with it at TI where I was at corporate world, like the IT group. I would show them stuff and show them like, you do this a lot, right? Yeah. And then they still just like, I don't know. They just didn't want to learn a new way. It just didn't make sense to me. Cause I'm like, they're programmers, right? They should see that like, wow, wait a minute. I'm doing this over and over, right? If anyone would recognize a pattern of doing something over, I would think programmers would be one of the first to realize like, hey, I can repurpose this, and do it, use it, apply it to my usage, right? My needs. But that's
I guess I've been scripting for a while now at my workplace. So I mean, my supervisor and some people like actually know I can get pretty much, I guess, streamline that process or whatever process they need me to like, I guess, make it faster or simpler for them. And I've started to get some requests like, hey, can you take a look at this? And and I guess people don't get scared now or surprised when they see me just on my phone or just walking around while my desktop is working.
Yeah.
So it's nice.
Man, I had another question for you, but I blanked out on it now.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, I mean, I'm...
Oh, what, have you programmed in other languages?
Well, I guess I've done some stuff in .NET. I developed in PHP, I guess, for like over 5 years now. What else? I haven't really like done any Java development. I mean, just the basics. Nothing. I guess worth mentioning. And Python, I guess that would be it. Yeah.
What and what do you think? AutoHotkeys. Where does it shine? Where is it unique? And why do you use it for certain things and not others?
Okay. Well, I guess with AutoHotkey you can interface with your browser and maybe your Office suite and whatever. So I guess it's not like bound or tied to a specific program where you can use it with. I guess you can like have your script go into a website, log in for you, get some information from there, and maybe go to your spreadsheet, your Excel spreadsheet, and like have it fill that information in for you, and then go open your file explorer and whatever you need to do, it'll do it for you. Like you don't need like to set up a server, or you don't need any extra hardware. You pretty much don't need anything else. I mean, it's pretty much free. You can go and dive in and start making cool scripts. I mean, you don't need anything else.
Cool. Awesome. Did you have anything else you want to add?
Not really. I mean, I wish more people would get into it.
Amen.
I mean, definitely it's a language now that when you encounter an error message or you get stuck for some reason, you can Google your error message, and I guess fairly often you'll get the answer if you look hard enough. I mean, there's documentation online, and there's a community around it.
Well, actually, I was just going to add to it is AutoHotkey. I've read. I haven't programmed a lot of other things, but the ones I have, I've also looked at their forums, and wow, the forum people in AutoHotkey are so much more willing to help, nicer, polite.
Yeah.
Just not. They know people, I think is what it is other communities, you assume people have a clue they're programmers. And so, man, they can be very blunt. But in AutoHotkey, for the most part, people are new and they don't know what they're not programmers. And so I think people are more patient.
I'm pretty much every day, at least during work days, I'm on IRC. So I'm in the AutoHotkey channel, and yeah, I mean, people are friendly as well. I mean, sometimes I've had I guess I was missing a parenthesis or whatever, and it was something that I was like cracking my head for like an hour or so.
Yeah.
I couldn't find the error, and then I would go there and post my code, and they would go like, "Oh, it's just that." And yeah, I mean, you see new people coming in. Some stay, some go, but those that stay, that they're pretty helpful, and they I guess they give back to the community, and then it becomes stronger. And it's a really friendly place, and I guess it's pretty inviting for new people. Yeah,
I agree. I just the one I always say is like some new people when they especially like gamers, right? They don't search the forum first, and then they don't take time to really formulate their questions. Some, right? Not all, but some of them are like, "Hey, can you make me a script to click this button?" You're like, "All right, what program are you in? What you know?"
Yeah, that's a big part because I've actually found myself asking questions or maybe just typing it, then I would read it again, and then I would like, how do I expect for somebody else to understand this if I can't even understand it myself?
That's a great point of I wish I had thought about that when I was explaining to people how you should ask questions in the forum, because it's one of the great things in troubleshooting. It's having a bobblehead doll, right? And you literally talk to the bobblehead doll, but what you just said is if you reread your question out loud as if someone was asking you, would it make sense? Because you'd be like, what are you talking about? Right?
Maybe you're missing something important or whatever, but you need to like boil it down to the most basic information that you need to ask and make it understandable for pretty much everyone, and you'll get your answer fast.
I agree. The AutoHotkey forum especially, and what's the other one? You mentioned IRC and Discord, right? That's I don't go on those. I don't know why. I just don't.
Okay.
But they, especially Discord, because to me, this interaction where we can talk and share screens, that is so much easier to troubleshoot and to really communicate versus forum posts or even the IRC. It's much more lengthy of a time to understand the tonnage of what, and you can quickly say, hey, that's not what I meant. I meant this, or, oh,
Yeah.
now I get it. Right. And
I mean, or you can show the other person in real time. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's a conversation instead of, you know, kind of back and forth. And I'm lazy. I don't like to type out all this stuff when I'm completely missing the point, right? Like the other person's like, no, I get that part. Yeah, it's this part that I'm having troubles with. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can go into IRC or go into the forum or wherever. You can watch YouTube videos. You can read the documentation online. It's pretty much, I guess, some people like to watch videos and learn that way. Others may like to read the official documentation, and I guess you can pick.
Stack Overflow as well is a decent spot, and where when you're new, it's hard to realize it, but you know, for a lot of stuff, especially around COM, you can learn from the JavaScript side of things, right? And or VBA as well, right? And just adapt them. That's one of the things I love. Like in Excel, you can record your macro in Excel, and then make very minor tweaks to it to run it in AutoHotkey.
Yeah, you can actually adapt.
And that's a big selling point for me. And when I would do stuff with AutoHotkey is I don't have to create a macro in Excel and distribute something with a macro. You know, I can have it as just some code that it's completely separate from my Excel file. And it's so easy. And it's I don't know, when you start dealing with macros in Excel, it just can be, with the security issues at work, sharing those files and people get, you know, caught up in stuff. But yeah, I liked having AutoHotkey. But like you said, also I could automate my email after I create my Excel file and my report, and then automate that, attaching that file to go to people. It was so nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time out of today.
Yeah, well, thank you for the invite, Joe.
Yeah, you bet. All right. We'll talk soon.
Yep. Take care. Bye-bye.